I funded my brother's startup, then he cut me out. So I became his biggest competitor and crushed him. Wait, Ryan. What do you mean you're cutting me out? I stood there in the conference room staring at Ryan, my brother, my co-founder, and the person I had believed in more than anyone. His face was impassive, almost rehearsed. The lawyers beside him sat still as if waiting for the storm to pass. We've made some tough decisions, Lena, he said, his words too cold, too detached. It's better for the business. We need to clean up the ownership structure. You know how it is with investors and venture capital. The fewer shareholders, the cleaner it looks. He wasn't even looking at me anymore. His gaze was fixed on the screen in front of him, where projections for the company's next phase filled the screen. My seat at the table was gone. Everything I had worked for, everything I'd invested, all gone. I put in $80,000. My savings, my loan of $30,000, the cash inheritance from grandma. You wouldn't even have a company without me. My voice cracked, but I wasn't going to let him see me break. Ryan shrugged, looking uncomfortable. Lena, we're past that now. It's about the future, okay? The future? I could hardly believe it. I felt the ground slip beneath my feet, like the foundation of everything I had trusted was crumbling. Ryan had always been the one to dream big. He'd pitched me his startup idea, Ride Vibe, and I had invested without hesitation. But this was betrayal. I was officially out. My name is Lena Alvarez, I'm 29. Until recently, I thought I had it all: family, success, a vision. Now, I had nothing but the echoes of Ryan's voice telling me that I wasn't needed anymore. For days I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. I'd been sidelined from the startup that I had poured everything into, my savings, my connections, my trust. My phone lit up with notifications from my old contacts, former colleagues, investors, asking what had happened with the company. They had heard the news that Ryan was going solo, and they knew I had been left behind. I didn't respond to anyone. I was too angry to talk, too hurt to face them. But then one night as I sat at home staring at my laptop, a thought crossed my mind. What if I could do this better? What if I could build something bigger? I didn't have the millions that Ryan had secured, but I had something more valuable: knowledge. I knew exactly where his company was failing. Ride Vibe had been focusing too heavily on urban markets, ignoring smaller cities and commuter-heavy areas. There was a gap, a clear opportunity. I started planning Vibe Rides, a ride-sharing service designed specifically for commuters, in less saturated markets. No flashy ads, no million-dollar budget, just smart moves, a lean team, and an innovative solution. I didn't reach out to Ryan. I didn't need him. I reached out to investors who saw potential in my vision. One of them, a small-time angel investor, agreed to fund $50,000. Not much, but it was enough to get me started. With 2 developers and 1 marketing strategist, we went to work. Vibe Rides launched 6 months later, and in the first 3 months we broke even. I watched in silence as Ride Vibe started to plateau. Their app was clunky. Customer service was terrible. They didn't have the customer loyalty programs I had pitched for months. I could see the cracks forming. Ryan's company was struggling, and I was growing stronger every day. I pushed harder. My app had better features, faster service, and a pricing model that made sense for commuters, not just the tech elite. By the end of the year, Vibe Rides was bringing in nearly $70,000 in revenue, while Ride Vibe struggled to break even. And then the letter came. I remember the day Ryan reached out to me. It had been almost a year since we last spoke, and now he wanted to meet. His message was simple: let's talk. I want to fix this. I had no intention of meeting him. But then I thought, what if I could use this to my advantage? What if I could finally show him what he had lost by cutting me out? I agreed to meet, but I wasn't going to make it easy for him. The meeting was at a small cafe, halfway between my office and his. Ryan was late, and when he finally walked in, I could tell he was nervous. His tie was crooked, and he avoided making eye contact. I messed up, he said as soon as he sat down, his voice barely audible. Lena, I thought I was doing the right thing for the company. But I was wrong. I pushed you out, and now we're struggling. Ride Vibe is falling apart. He didn't even look like the same guy who used to dream big, who used to talk about changing the world. This version of Ryan looked like a man who had lost everything, including his confidence. I leaned back, feeling a little victorious, but I couldn't let him see it. I know what happened. I know you're failing, Ryan. But you'll never admit it until it's too late. His face flushed. So what now? You want me to just hand everything back to you? Let you take control? I shook my head. No, Ryan. That's not what I want. You had your chance. But now you'll see what happens when someone actually listens to the market, to the customers. Just as he opened his mouth to argue, I let the real twist unfold. I've already made my move, Ryan, I said, dropping the bombshell. Vibe Rides is already eating up your market share. I'm your biggest competitor now, asterisk asterisk. For the first time in the meeting, Ryan's face drained of color. You've been building this all along? He asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and anger. I didn't need you. I didn't need your approval. But now you'll see what happens when someone listens. You'll see how it feels when you've been pushed aside and ignored. I could see the shock in his eyes as the weight of my words sank in. In the next few weeks, Ride Vibe's customer numbers plummeted. They couldn't recover from the damage. Ryan had made the fatal mistake of taking me out of the equation, but now he was learning the hard way that family ties can only be ignored for so long before they come back to haunt you. But the story didn't end with my success. Vibe Rides grew, but I never became the person I thought I would. I didn't destroy Ryan, nor did I want to. What I really wanted was for him to learn that betrayal isn't a business strategy. Trust and loyalty are what make a company, not just profits. And in the end, that's what I took away from all of this. Ryan's company was eventually sold to a larger competitor. He tried to reach out again, but I never responded. The betrayal had cut too deep, and some things once lost could never be reclaimed. But me? I had learned that true success doesn't come from taking from others, it comes from building something authentic. And Vibe Rides became just that.